All right, so welcome back, everybody. So sorry about that. For some reason, our computer just completely shut down and was like, oh, we're going to do an update. Here we go, right in time.
Hello again.
So we are back. And what will we be talking about?
ASEA. And Dylan's ASEA link is in the description. So please help yourself. And I was going to say about... I don't have it with me. Okay. So can you show them your... what's it called? The squirty stuff. The squirties, the white tube.
Renew 28.
Yes.
The Renew 28, yeah.
We love ASEA, and yet we forget the name of it.
That's just me. Yeah,
Ren-
Renew 28. So
Yeah, you got the topical ASEA and the drinking ASEA. I've been doing both of these since November last year, and I just love it more and more and more the more I go. It's like it just is the perfect hydration. It's the perfect like recovery serum. This is great for pain like arthritis or sore joints, which I don't even get too much of the sore joints anymore since I take this like during my workouts and after my workouts. But I just love it. I mean, I was very skeptical of it in the beginning. I was like, is this a scam? Is this just a pyramid scheme? But no, it's really a great product. Highly endorse the ASEA.
So I've been taking the ASEA, and I take all of the Renew 28. I take all the liquids like, what is that? The red stuff. Shit, my mind. The iodine. So it's iodine, and I think it's called a T12, so it's a natural painkiller. And I mix that all up, and I've been putting that on his back, and he's able to go to sleep right after that. So
Nice.
You've also been putting it in my shots, too.
yeah, not the Renew, but yes, the ASEA, yes. And so it's been helping him to heal. It's been part of the healing journey for us, and we're just happy to have it. So, with that being said, last time I said that, we were taking
Well, that's the
off
thing with
air.
ASEA is great for a healing journey if you're trying to heal something specific, like a serious malady, or if you're even in good health and you're trying to get in better health. And so that's why it's kind of a unique product that it just is great for overall well-being in pretty much any situation. I think Kid was in a situation in the beginning there that ASEA wasn't quite enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't
doing
the perfect
anything
thing, but that was a very unique situation. And I think in most chronic conditions, ASEA has been shown to be beneficial. And you can even go to that website to see testimonials about a lot of different conditions that people have had experiences where it did benefit them. So that's an important link to check out. Well, we can find that link if we're talking about it. But ASEA has a page which people have isolated all these different conditions and said, how it benefited those. But they can't make the specific claims like it cures this or that.
So, a very unique situation it was. I mean, when I look back at the pictures and think about his condition, and now that I know what was happening, he was at death's door. And you wanted to mention to everyone, is this a good time to do it? That we ran out of time.
Basically, that from the last CAT scan and X-rays that I gotten from the emergency room visit in Oregon, we have come to the conclusion that I ran out of time. Because even though that I was following the strict diets to a T, I was taking whatever that I could naturopathically, my body ran out of time, and I've decided to do the chemotherapy. And that's another reason why that I'm doing so much better, is because the chemotherapy actually went in finally and is doing its job to eliminate the certain cells. But because of what I've done with the Gerson diet and getting my body ready for this chemo treatment, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, you're looking so much healthier. Yeah. Sometimes it's just not cut and dried like we think it should be, or that we hear other people talk about it. And we have to really follow the path that's being lit right in front of our feet. And when I was looking at my son and he couldn't breathe, that was showing me a path. And I called his doctor and I said, we're out of time. We can't explore any more of this stuff. And she goes, let's get on it. So we did. And after his first treatment, 50%, I mean, his Kaposi's 50% of it just disappeared.
What's funny is that the Kaposi on my lungs didn't show up until after that last CAT scan. When that last CAT scan was presented, that's when it finally showed up on my lungs. And they're like, oh, it is Kaposi sarcoma.
Yeah, even when they went in there and took the test.
They couldn't find anything.
They couldn't find anything, the biopsy.
Well, I'll just add to that. There is no shame or, submission in ultimately having to resort to the chemo, but that's kind of the theme of my healing web, just comparing the big pharma versus holistic medicine. It's just, I would say, generally better to explore the holistic medicine side of things before, big pharma and these more, I would say, extreme treatments should be the last resort. And, you went a good 9 months, right, of trying everything you could. And ultimately, if it's not working, there's a point where you have to admit, the holistic stuff is not cutting it. And sometimes you do have to just go the big pharma route. But I do think it's a good to explore the options. And it's hard, it's always hard to determine when we should say, all right, set the holistic stuff aside, just go with the big pharma route, but there comes a point to that. And yours isn't the first story I've heard where people have really tried everything holistically and then it wasn't enough, and then they do go to the big pharma and it actually is pretty effective. I think the problem is where people don't even know about any of the lifestyle changes or dietary changes or holistic treatments, and they just go straight to big pharma and continue with the processed food diet and the artificial food colorings and the Coke Zero, Coke and Sprite and Mountain Dews. and they just, for something like breast cancer, they just get the lumps removed, take the chemotherapy. And then sometimes that chemotherapy can cause something else down the road if they weren't already correcting their lifestyle and getting their own cells in a mode where they're going to be looking for and fighting cancer. And so, yeah, it's very complex, but I'm glad you found an effective treatment at this stage. And, the Kaposi's is a very rare condition, a very rare type of cancer that, there's really not much you can research about it. There's a lot of rare conditions out there. I mean, the Healing Web deals with the most common conditions down the center here. By the way, this is our Healing Web. It's a free download. It's actually been going viral again recently, last week on TikTok and Instagram. Awesome. People just keep discovering it. And it's a great guide for people that are kind of new to holistic medicine. But, the idea here wasn't never try anything from big pharma. The idea here was to know about both, maybe try this first, and that's the last resort. And that's exactly what you've done. And so sometimes that's the best treatment. And I think, if you continue exploring holistic modalities, you'll be able to recover from the chemo faster. You'll be able to mitigate any long-term side effects from the chemo and hopefully not have this come back, because if you do chemo and then you go back to the lifestyle that was creating a toxic environment in your cells, you could have the same problem again in a few years. And so the holistic stuff could keep this away when you finish the chemo. And so it's a combination of things. And I just want to accentuate that because I have been there myself where, you go just way too long thinking I can't cure this holistically. I refuse to submit to big pharma. They have developed some effective treatments. And, there's certain types of chemo, especially for lymphoma, that is very effective, and other cancers where it's a little bit less effective, and probably depends on the doctor too. Some doctors overdo it, some doctors maybe underdo it. So it's all by circumstance, and you got to really feel it out and feel out the energy and feel what's working and what's not.
Well, I got 2 more treatments left, and then
an evaluation.
And then the evaluation
to see where we go from there. Yeah.
So hopefully I won't have to have any more after that. But what we've come to realize is that doing the naturopathic way got my cells ready for everything that it was going to be bombarded with the chemotherapy. Because what they said with the chemotherapy is that it doesn't distinguish between good cells and bad cells. But what's funny is that as the chemotherapy is going through my body, it's not destroying any of the bad cells because my hemoglobin's actually rising now. And
You
they
mean the
said
good
that
cells.
the hemoglobin
You
would
mean it's not destroying any of your good cells? You said bad
the
cells.
I said it doesn't distinguish between good and bad cells. And I said that it was that the hemoglobin is now shooting up,
Yeah. Which also means you're not bleeding internally.
which means that it's not attacking the good cells. It's attacking the bad cells,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's good. I mean, it doesn't just completely destroy everything. I think, they design chemotherapies to more target bad stuff, but it hits some good stuff too in general. So there's different types of chemo medication as well.
Oh yeah, there is. And we found out that they make this solution according to the blood work, because he gets blood work every time he shows up. And the doctor decides how it's going to be made, and what is made for him is different than what is made for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just to bounce back to the ASEA for a second and some of my experience, I don't go into as much detail about my medical information as you guys do, but I'll just say, since I started ASEA in November, I had lab work done like in January, and I saw improvement then. And then I just had another lab work done last month in September, and I saw even more improvement. And since then, I've added in the Avini, the zeolite. That's the main thing. ASEA, REDOX, and the Avini zeolite are the two main things I basically added. I mean, I'm on a couple other supplements, but I was a little bit surprised, in September to see my blood work improve yet again. And I got to credit it to ASEA and Avini, because that's really the only thing that I changed,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
Congratulations.
these products can really improve, just entire blood work, whatever may be off. I think they've just balanced things out.
So we're being told that our sound is off, a little light. Is that any better?
I can always just raise that too.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's
good to
yours.
me.
Yours is great. That Diana's saying. Please share the video. Let people know that we're live with Dylan. And so, Dylan, you also have made some tapestries that I hear are really, really cool. You want to tell us about
Yeah,
that?
if you would like to, since you guys couldn't make it to the Final Truth tour in Nashville, that was 2 weekends ago now, I would like to share some pictures from Tooth Tour, which will include the new tapestries. Would you like that?
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
You can feel like you were there vicariously. I mean, you can watch the video on ScrewBigGov, but I just have some behind the scenes pictures I thought you and your audience might be interested to see. So I'll start a little slideshow here for you guys. Well, so first of all, here was the final lineup. It was it ended up looking like a pretty impressive lineup by the end there. Juan O'Savin did not actually show up, which was a little disappointing, but I wasn't that disappointed because I've seen him before. But it was great to see Ethan Lucas, Derek Johnson, Sean Farash, who's a really great Trump impersonator, and all the others. It was a full day of speakers, and so this was hosted on a private property that was south of Nashville, Spring Hill, Tennessee. And the owner of this property donated the property to the event for free, and spent a long time leveling out this huge area to be a parking lot for everyone, and like grading this whole space to host this huge tent, which Louis Herms rented, this huge, I guess like a circus tent or like a wedding tent. And so that's the big tent in the background there is the main event. And then DSMP had this little 10 by 10 booth that we set up outside the tent. And yeah, I like doing outdoor booths. This was my third outdoor booth I've done, and my first one that wasn't in Cincinnati. So this was kind of like a test and an experiment, but it went very well and it looked impressive. as we set it up. So this is a close-up of our booth with some of the new tapestries hanging there. You see the World Hierarchy Pyramid, Cult of Baal, healing, the big healing web. Actually, we've had healing web before as a tapestry, but we just released the healing web as a 60 by 90 tapestry, which is like absolutely huge. And all of our new tapestries that we just produced are on this thicker material that's really great to use as either a beach or a grass blanket because it's so thick. It's really durable. You know, it's great on grass. And you can even wash it. I wouldn't recommend washing it, you know, a million times, but you can wash it at least a few times and it'll still hold up. So there's a close-up of the Cult of Baal. And all of these tapestries we had hanging had tapestries on both sides. So you could see different artworks on the inside versus the outside. And there's the Ashtar on the inside. And now here's inside the main event, which they had pretty wild stage set up with this, like, this is our revolution sign. They had like a Jeep in the tent, all this Trump stuff. A lot of fun. There you see the Sean Trump impersonator, Lewis, and Bruce Poppy was on like the mix board the whole time. Me and Carol there. Whoop. Slow down. So this is our logistics coordinator, Adam, who helps me ship orders every week and helps me if I do an expo. So he was on the scene running the booth. There's one of our Jasara t-shirts. And there's like our little Pleiadian disc display with the healing web there and some stickers. And there's a close-up of the healing web tapestry, which I think these are going to be really popular, I gotta say. The healing web tapestry, it turned out just magnificent.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the big size. It'd be great to bring to like a festival and just, if you bring this to a festival and put it on the ground, people will be standing around just like, whoa. Whoa. And you know, the healing web's really in a different category than most of our other artworks because it's totally non-political. I guess it's more like a little bit conspiracy theorist oriented since it is a little bit critical of big pharma. But people are just so interested these days in learning more about holistic medicine. So there's another kind of long shot of our booth, which we had to take down the healing tapestry eventually because our booth was literally sailing across the gravel because of all the tapestries in the wind. The entire booth moved like several meters throughout the day.
Wow.
And it was just like the wind was a little bit crazy. I have a feeling when I set up all these tapestries, it creates so much energy that it actually creates vortexes, because that's both times I've set up a booth like this. The other time was in Joshua Tree, but it's like, it's not that windy when I set it up. And then it's fine for like the first like 10 or 15 minutes where we get like a good photo shoot of everything. And then just the energy starts swirling and the whole booth starts basically flying away. We did have the weights on the bottom, so it didn't fly away. But something about hanging up all these tapestries at once, I think creates like a vortex and starts like blowing the whole booth away. But it is what it is. Here's Derek Johnson presenting in a big old cowboy hat. I love hearing all his theories, even though some of them are a little bit complex for anyone to understand. But he knows his stuff so well with all the military codes and proofs that DJT is still commander-in-chief and that this is the whole continuity of government operation. This is someone that had some very interesting theories about geometry and sacred geometry in the universe, gifted me a book and was showing me this ball, which is demonstrating something. I have his book here. It's some very complex sacred geometry theory that he was getting into, but it sounded like it makes sense. And then lastly, here is me
Look at
in
you.
the booth.
Wait, is that a backpack?
Yeah, we have backpacks hanging from the ceiling and hats.
I love backpacks.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of sad it's the last Truth Tour, but Louis Herms was saying that, financially, the tour wasn't exactly like a profitable thing. And it's just, with the economy the way it is, it's hard to get people to turn out. Yeah. And even at that event, I was expecting a bigger in-person turnout. A little underwhelmed, I would say, by the in-person turnout. But of course, it's getting thousands and thousands of views on Rumble. And so I think people just kind of prefer to stay home these days and watch on Rumble, which, it's kind of sad that in-person events are kind of dwindling. But I think maybe it's just because of the economy and the whole environment. This was also the weekend. This occurred the day after the day of global jihad that Hamas and who called for it, like Al-Qaeda, whatever. called for like this global day of jihad, which was the Friday before when we were driving down there. And so I think that might have scared a few people that were planning to travel, because a lot of people that I talked to there had driven from all parts of the country, not primarily in the vicinity of that, but we had people that drove from California, from Florida, from all the way up in Michigan. And so it was really cool, a really strong patriot truther turnout.
That's amazing.
That is.
And I'm not surprised that a lot of people wanted to stay home, especially with what's been happening with the Israel, like you said, and the Hamas, but also the energies have just been crazy.
Oh,
Candy and I have been bombarded with energies. I cried yesterday, so we went to the store yesterday, and it was a bad time to go to the store. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sit in the car. I'm just going to wait in the car. And she threw the keys so I can use the keys if I needed to. And I looked at her like she attacked me. And it felt like I was being attacked for some reason. I don't know what type of energies are going around right now, but we have to be really vigilant. Really vigilant.
I saw that look come across his face, and I'm like, you stop right now. Mom was just lazy, and I threw the keys.
Yeah, I gotta not take things too personally.
Yeah, she was like, you need to stop taking things personally. God, I'm going to go get you a car.
You're coming in the store with me. And then he hated that.
Well, it's the energies and energy prices as well, because, you know, when the gasoline price is up like this, a lot of people reconsider long distance travel, you know, because you're just considering filling your tank at least 2 or 3 times, and it adds up. And then that cost of energy is filtering down into everything from consumer products to household energy bills. It's just, it messes up the entire economy.
Yeah, Carrie says that the Schumann residence has been lit up, and I follow this girl on TikTok, and she does the Schumann residence, and oh my goodness gracious, what we've been witnessing with the Schumann is just crazy.
It hit at least 100.
Wow.
That's pretty intense. Yeah.
And then I know we're coming up on like a close to Halloween full moon, which has got to be a lot of energy. And there was an eclipse actually that day of the Truth Tour as well. Eclipse in some part of the world. We couldn't see it in the USA, I don't think. And then there's something else combined with this full moon this weekend astrologically. I forget exactly what it was, but a lot going on. A lot going on for sure.
And if you haven't caught wind of Bo Pony, that's B-O and then P-O-L-N-Y. He's on YouTube. He has been given the understanding of the math of the Bible. And so from the time of crucifixion, like 50 years to the next event, and then 50 years to the next event. So he was saying the 26th, which is today, right? Today the 26th? Oh, the 24th, excuse me. The 24th. So today onward stuff is really supposed to be happening. And he not only has his own show, but he was also on
Nino.
Yes, Nino's Corner. Thank you. And Nino was like, "Oh, so what's going to happen? What is it going to be? This? Is it going to be that?" And he says, "I really can't tell you. I can just tell you the math is saying this is when it starts, and it could be, you know, the dollar. It could be the war. It could be all sorts of things. But
didn't he say that after this year it's supposed to be the 7 years of rest?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, starting Thanksgiving, Christmas. It could be Christmas. Either of those. Yeah, an early Christmas. Lee Stymie also said that Mr. T, Papa T, said we're going to have an early Christmas. And I said, but hasn't he said that before? And Lee said, nope. Oh.
It's other people that's been saying it with posts and all that. This is what this means, of what he said.
Yeah, and Bo has been on point with everything that he's brought up because he's doing the math. and been given the spiritual enlightenment to understand that and to share that with us so that we are privy to what's going on, because everyone knows we're watching.
Yeah, I saw his video with Nino. I think it was after October 7th when the Israel Hamas thing began, but he was saying, something big would happen on about October 6th, which I mean, within one day, I'd say that's a pretty accurate prediction, And so now I'm looking at his future predictions with a little more trust in them and confidence that he may really be finding some accurate ways to predict things from these biblical numerology, whatever you call his technique. I mean, it's some pretty advanced stuff, what he's doing and figuring out how the Bible is telling us these specific dates and time periods here. But that was a big confirmation. And, in the truth community and the alt media, prediction industry has not been very good in general for the past 5 years. There's been a lot of predictions on X22 and SGAnon and even Derek Johnson that has really not come to pass in the time frame that they were specifying. But so for Bo Pony to be this accurate, I would say is pretty surprising for the alt media and pretty confidence inspiring in what may be to come. And there's a lot of signs that there may be some huge events before, I would say, January. I mean, I'm still very interested. I would say, I wouldn't say confident yet, but interested in what I've heard that DJT may be back sometime in January. I was given a specific date, January 24th, which is my birthday. But it's there's a lot that could happen before then. And with everything going on in the Middle East, I mean, it is a powder keg. And I'm just waiting for the Arab world to respond in unison to what Israel is doing to Gaza, because it's really horrific, the essentially genocide that's happening there. And I'm waiting to see who's going to stop them. And I don't like the fact that we have these 2 aircraft carriers that are there, assumably to defend Israel if something were to happen to it, because the whole state, as what a lot of truthers have realized, is founded on essentially illegal backdoor deal premises, this Balfour Declaration. And as a corporate entity, the whole ordeal there, the whole state may be in its waning days, let's say.
I think everything is in its waning days right now. Didn't you just get a notification yesterday or the day before that XRP shot up $10, and then you got some information about the lawsuit finally being over?
Okay, so yes, but that was with a great big question mark. So it hasn't happened yet, but Jeremy Hogan has made a bold declaration suggesting the Ripple versus SEC case is effectively concluded. And so could XRP shoot up to $10 a coin? There's a great big question there, but if you look
That's
at
what we talk about. The SARA map. We've been trying to tell people, invest in your XRPs. Actually, we've seen a bigger pump in Bitcoin just the past couple days, which Bitcoin's not supposed to be part of JSARA, but yeah, we've seen a little decent pump in XRP too, and a lot of people talking about the lawsuit. I mean, I've been hearing so many different rumors about this lawsuit. It's impossible to track the exact status of it, but it is looking like XRP is going to come out on top. And then when that's official, there's already been a lot of signs. Every time they have a little win in the lawsuit, there's a little pump. But I think when it's the final conclusion, we'll probably see a big pump. But then that does not discount the entire economy crashing, or the entire stock market crashing rather, which probably would result in a crypto crash as well. But the JSARA theory is that then the ISO 2022 coins would come out, or 20,022 coins would come out after that big crash of everything in a skyrocketing manner after the RV. And actually, mini announcement from me, I have finally made my own investment into some of the foreign currency that is expected to revalue at a high rate. Specifically, I bought some Iraqi dinar, Vietnamese dong, and Indonesian rupee. From what I had seen on the exchange, I bought it from exchangeamerica.com. From what I had seen, the Dong and the rupee have the highest exchange rate of all. It's like around 13 to 14,000 per $1. Iraqi dinar is not as much, but it's still, it will be a very good RV if it comes anywhere close to $1. And then I did not go for the Zim bonds. I'm not telling people don't go for a scam, but the thing with the Zim bonds is that currency, the Zim bond currency, was discontinued in 2009. And so it's essentially a canceled currency. Now, I know a lot of people have invested in Zim bonds and they think that you can still exchange it. Maybe you can, but I mean, with the numbers that the Zim bond is at, like 30,000 or $30 trillion to, I'm not sure exactly what the exchange is, but you can't buy them on a normal exchange because it's a discontinued currency. You can get them still on eBay, and I have a link that's supposed to be like legit ones. But even if it's legit, I'm like, if it's a expired currency, I'm just not as confident in the exchange rate of that one, the Zim bonds. So I just say use your own discretion. Are you guys invested in any foreign currencies?
Mm-hmm. We are.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did you
and the coins too, the digital. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got our little fingers in a little bit of everything.
Well,
That's good. Yeah, a little bit of everything. You should be okay, right?
even the metals, the precious metals.
Mm-hmm. That too. Can't forget about that. So you went to exchangewhat.com?
Let's see here. I think it's
Oh, any railroad bonds I hear are just gonna be hot.
railroad bonds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds good.
There's a gentleman that I follow. His name is Isaac, and he's got bonds galore, and that's all he's got. And he has he says there's a lot of good news, but no confirmation yet that we're going, but it's really close.
So yeah, the website I used was the letter X, changeofamerica.com. And now that was recommended to me by someone at Truth Tour that works with Lewis Herms. And I have not received them yet, so I have not taken it to a notary to make sure they're authentic. But I think it's a legit website. It's out of Florida, so I'm confident that I will receive it. I'm waiting for more silver in the mail too. So we just keep stacking until this RV hits, and then new billionaire class, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm following this guy on TikTok. He sells silver, and we were able to finally find someone that sells by the grams, single grams, instead of 5 grams, 10 grams, stuff like that.
Or ounce coins, yeah.
So it'd be easier to do bartering with those.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So, I was thinking something.
Sorry.
No, you didn't do anything.
Knocked you off your.
I didn't stay with it long enough for it to stay. So if it comes back, I'll let you guys know. Oh, where do we find Isaac? He's on Telegram. That's the only place I know he's at. If I were... Let's see.
Oh.
It's called Isaac's Room. ISAAC''SROOM.
He discusses foreign currencies and RV stuff.
He's well, if he goes, then the RV goes. So he's not part of the Zim or for the reconstruction of our world, but he's got a lot of bonds, the dragon bonds, the Asian bonds, he's just loaded with them. So, and he's up in the ranks as far as getting the information goes, and he keeps having what's called tabletop conversations, I believe. And so this tells him whether or not it's time or it's close. And so he's up there. He's got 7,492 members in his room.
Dylan, is this the website?
It's
Is
really
that
hard to see, babe. It's
exchangeofamerica.com?
Exchange of America?
Yeah, that should be it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Exchange of America. I'm not sure what it looks like on a
On a
mobile
phone?
device. Yeah.
And this is, let's see, just so that you can know what you're looking for, this is what Isaac's room looks like.
Isaac's
It's a little
room,
blurry
okay.
too, but it gives you an idea. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I've invested in so much different stuff since 2021. It's like one of these has got to hit at some point. I mean, it better. It better. But we're still having pretty good sales at DSMP, so we're making decent income. But everyone's kind of like up against a wall with like the cost of living just basically it's like coming so close to like your income that it's like, geez Louise, how are you supposed to like survive in this?
It's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been challenging for many, and Kid and I firmly believe that for those who do not have the knowledge at this time or the funds to be able to invest in crypto or precious metals or bonds or foreign currency, you'll be taken care of too. I mean, because this is not just moving from a 3D back into another 3D with abundance. I mean, there's not going to be the rich and the poor, and you're going to be slammed again like a dirty dog. I just, what about you? Don't you see that that's true too, that everyone will be taken care of?
Yeah, I mean, just with the cost of living and the economy improving, and there's also this element of the UBI, the Universal Basic Income, which I do think will be introduced at some scale. I mean, similar to just welfare, but I would say it'd probably be like more easily accessible. And then to get off of that and have your own, career or even your own business, I think will be a lot easier as well, because there's just been so many roadblocks and basically everything working against people being able to maintain a job with upward mobility or do your own thing and be an entrepreneur. So many things working against that I think in the new economy, it's just everything's going to be so much more abundant and less roadblocks, and even actual things or policies, statewide policies that actually encourage entrepreneurship and encourage jobs. Trump talks about jobs quite a bit. And so it's just going to be easier all around. But I mean, you're not going to want to just sit on your ass and do nothing and take your UBI or welfare check. You're going to be encouraged to be a productive member of society in some way. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to be like this slave system where I felt like my whole life, they've just tailored it so narrowly that you're just barely making enough to even survive. Like even when I was living in New York, I was even getting help with my rent from my family, but even then it was like, you at most jobs you're just barely making enough to have like to live close enough to actually get to the job,
Right.
Which is not how it's supposed to be. I mean, that's slavery. That's basically indentured servitude, which is supposed to not be the model we're working with here. Mm-hmm. in a free market.
Yeah, I love how you said it. Yeah, that's amazing. So be hopeful and be happy. We're getting there, and it just feels so close, doesn't it?
It does. Mm-hmm. So close but so far.
It's so close but so far.
Yeah, because it hasn't happened yet.
Well, some people, like with my logistics coordinator Adam, he's someone who was really thinking that a lot of this, what we're expecting now, was going to happen in 2012. And so, some people have been waiting for the RV or JASARA. I mean, people are talking about JASARA ever since like 2001, right? When it almost was put into law under George Bush, and then 9/11 happened, and a lot of those funds were stolen from the WTC complex. And so some people have just been waiting so long that now they kind of like have lost hope. It doesn't feel like it's ever going to happen. But at the same time, I would say there's a lot of indications that this RV could happen within the next 6 months to 1 year. I mean, not under Biden, but like high probability of some major economic shifts as soon as Trump returns.
So has anyone heard about what's going on with Speaker of the House?
They're still in deadlock. I think they just had another failed vote for someone other than Jim Jordan, Emmers, whom I'm not even familiar with. But Jim Jordan couldn't get quite enough votes, and now I think Emmers got even fewer than Jim Jordan, and so they are really stuck in a deadlock. And I don't know why they haven't had a vote for Trump yet. That's what I'm wondering, since that was kind of on the table. But maybe that's like the last resort. But I mean, this has been going on for what, 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
So I think doesn't feel quite as urgent because they have this temporary speaker that's serving, which is different than in January when they were at like a full deadlock. But they do need to find a solution here, or else they are going to run out of budget. And it's definitely the government is in some stage of incapacitation due to this. I'm not sure quite the extent of it, but eventually all government employees will not probably get their paycheck if we can't find a speaker.
Oh. Well, that doesn't make me sad.
Well, including welfare and stuff too. So they'll have to do something eventually, but
Well, that, yeah.
maybe start a whole new government.
The people who have been corrupt, though, sitting in those seats with their hot little asses, man, that needs to change.
I saw the childish behavior every time that, like Nancy Pelosi or somebody that's big up there that votes, and everyone's like, "Yay! Good for you!"
What was it that you and I laughed so hard about when I said, "Oh, that's like someone's shat on Nancy's desk"?
When she started complaining and bitching and screaming that she's getting kicked out of her office, just like how somebody shat on her desk that one time. Somebody shat on my desk.
Did we pass something though? An advertisement or a store that's name was?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't either. But that was so funny.
Somebody
Just laughed
shat
and
on my
laughed,
desk.
right?
I was surprised she even still had an office at the House of the
Seriously?
Congress, because I'm like, if you're thrown out and you're not a congressperson, like, why do you need to have an office there?
Oh. She
I
wanted
guess
to be
they
that
were
fly
saying
on
it's
the
like a
wall.
common courtesy or something, but it's like, for how long? Like, that's 9 months later. I can see maybe a couple months after you're removed as speaker, but up to like 9 months, like, no, get her out. We the people are not paying for that.
Yeah, I was really glad that happened.
She's been doing insider training for many years anyway, so she has lots of money. She could buy her own
And we
shit.
saw another round of insider trading before this Israel-Hamas conflict broke out. A lot of Congress people investing in war and defense contractor stuff. All of a sudden, right before this all happened, like they had some kind of pre-knowledge of it. A lot of signs of pre-knowledge. Who was telling me? SG was saying that they had moved Marines close to this area in the Mediterranean like 90 days before this started, and so like they knew something was coming. It's not attack out of the blue. I don't. If we're on YouTube, we probably shouldn't go into too many details, but that it's pretty clear that the IDF did a little bit of a stand down, and that they knew this was coming, and that the main thing I'm focusing on in my sharing, and let me try to use code words here, that the American 3-letter agency and the Israeli 5-letter agency, this comparable, are essentially responsible for creating the Palestinian jihadi group that a lot of people are blaming this on. Back in the day, that this was there very much like Al Qaeda. It's like a creation of Western intelligence agencies, and so to act like it's now like the main boogeyman enemy is saying that the enemy is something that we actually created back in the day. And so I would say there's still some level of control, and at the minimum full monitoring of what's going on with that militant group. So it's not like pick one side or the other. It's like we're funding both sides, like most of these conflicts, right? Yeah, but it's really riling up the whole world, and seeing how big these Palestinian protests and rallies are getting in a lot of our big cities is, a little bit concerning. That how big is this going to get? Is this going to get as wild as the George Floyd protests got in 2020? If we really activate all of these, I'm not sure how. Well, BLM has come out in support of Palestine and Chicago, at least on Twitter publicly. And so, it's probably through some kind of Soros organizations that these pro-Palestinian protests are being organized. And in a similar fashion, they could, spiral into total anarchy and looting with the right financial support and the right logistics to become very similar to what happened in 2020.
Well, I'm not surprised that there's going to be a lot of riots that's going to be happening. That we're expecting that anyways. They've already started in the bigger cities. We're just waiting for it to, trickle down to the smaller ones.
Yes, and the news is not reporting on any of that. They have not been. They report on things that just serve the other side.
All of us patriots seriously need to come together, get our money together, hire some assassins just to kill all the,
Oh my God!
Just hire some assassins. We'll pay you $1 million. Just go kill them already.
Oh, okay, YouTube. This is just totally fantasy.
Well, we're supposed to have the white hats working for us, and some of these people may have been dealt with already behind the scenes, but there's a lot of debate over that, whether the real raw news information is real or not, and if these big players like Obama, Hillary, Soros. I mean, Soros is technically retired now; his son has taken over, but to what degree these agencies are controlled, and then the really interesting stuff is with the 17th letter, people looking back at the 5-year deltas and 4-year deltas on some of those posts corresponding to different days. I spoke about one of them with SG Anon recently that seemed like it confirmed the stand down aspect that happened with the IDF beginning October 7th. But then I just saw a more recent one related to October, I think 18th or 19th, where there was another post, something about green light at the same day that there's news articles talking about Israel green lighting their ground offensive in Gaza. And so I'm like, how did Q know all this stuff? How did Q know I'm saying the letter, sorry. How did 17 know Black Hat plans like 3 or 4 years in advance? And, this could be explained by looking glass technology, time lensing, looking into the future and knowing these things. Or it could be that this is all some kind of a huge scripted thing that's playing out, and I'm not sure which one is more likely, but it's a little bit concerning. I would think the white hats should know white hat plans in the future, but to know the black hat plans in the future is a little bit more mind-bending and confusing, but we'll see. I mean, what I kind of keep going back to at this stage is that where do we see the conflict? Ukraine and now Israel. And these happen to be the two strongholds in the world of what we call, for YouTube, call it the KM, right? These are not the two places that we should be, as Americans, wanting to defend. This is like the two places that we should be actually like cheering on, not cheering on the destruction of, or like cheering on like the collateral damage to innocent civilians, but as corrupted states, these are two of like the worst places in the world. And then I would throw in Switzerland there too as the other big one that need to be dealt with. And then of course the 3 main city states, London, the Vatican, the city of London rather, the Vatican and Washington DC are the 3 city states that need to be dealt with as well. So, and there are a lot of signs Washington DC has already been dealt with.
I heard that they've already moved all the gold out of the Vatican.
No, I've heard that too.
Mm-hmm. And if anyone wants to check out Project Looking Glass. There's a movie called Paycheck with Ben Affleck. And he helps him create the looking glass, or what we call the looking glass. So you can take a look at that movie. That's pretty interesting.
And one other thing I saw on Twitter recently was that, now I haven't read a full article about it, I need to do a little more research on this, but I believe Switzerland just had some form of election that had a surprise win by a right-wing candidate. And so Switzerland could be having their own kind of Trump-ish phenomenon currently. And of course, I want to also emphasize, when I'm saying like Ukraine, Israel, City of London, Vatican, Switzerland, and Washington, D.C. are the enemy. It's like we're not trying to genocide these people. We're trying to correct the governing situation in those places. And so if Switzerland can be adjusted by voting by a democratic reform, that would be all the better, because war should be the last resort, and hopefully wars can be avoided by special operations.
They are really working at minimalizing injury. Absolutely.
Not in Gaza.
Well, they're working at it. And
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing what they can to ensure people's safety as much as they can. Yeah.
Yeah, the White Hats have done that for Americans to an extent.
So I love how you have a tapestry for your bed. Now that's like sleeping under a lot of knowledge right there. Love that.
I don't actually sleep under the Q-Web. That's only for videos. But it does. It's a versatile product. You can find all different kinds of uses for it. It could be a throw, a beach blanket, hanging on the wall.
Well, if someone, I just invested in a sewing machine, and so I'm going to play around with it. But if someone is into, what do they call that? What's that called when they sew pieces together?
Quilting?
Quilting, yeah.
Patchwork, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they could do something really beautiful with that, and add fluffing and then a back and make it into, something
Pillows.
A big pillow. Like what Lauren
I
did.
actually,
comforters.
with my Made on Demand service, I could make, pillows with the different maps on them. But I'm not sure if that's like the ideal format to be like researching and studying these things, but it's a statement, it's a statement.
Mm-hmm.
Statement
Absolutely.
piece.
Well, it should be a full body pillow so you could hold it.
Well, that's part of the reason why I'm working on the new version of the Healing Web, which is still a work in progress, but I'm essentially making a new version of a healing diagram, or like a holistic medicine guidance diagram that is going to focus primarily on holistic medicine. It's not going to be like the duality between big pharma and holistic medicine. It's going to be kind of like all holistic medicine, real roadmap to everything that's out there, and even more like specific brand references. And so the idea with that one is to have a diagram, kind of like the energy map, that is really focused on all good energy. Because a lot of my diagrams, like octagon group here and like world hierarchy pyramid, there's arguably a lot of negative energy there. I mean, I think it's positive to expose these things, but we're exposing some pretty dark stuff. And so it's not exactly stuff you would want to like wrap yourself like in a warm blanket in, But this new healing diagram, that's the actual intention, is to be like all in all very positive energy and healing. And so I'm having a hard time finding the time to work on new artwork lately, but it's coming along little by little.
So tell us what you've been doing, and what's been going on in your world over there.
Well, a lot of my time recently has been taken up getting my warehouse set up to be able to host in-person events. We recently, since about May, we moved a lot of the stock that we shipped from Cincinnati into a warehouse in a warehouse district here. And there was extra space in the warehouse. So we created a little bit of like what's going to be called Q Lounge. And we're going to be hosting, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to be hosting, but I've always wanted to have like a space to be able to host some form of like in-person meetup, or it's not really big enough to have like an expo or like events like that. But we have a pretty good lounge area coming along that actually I was donated a projector.
Awesome.
And I was not, I was envisioning it very differently, but the way I set it up and turned on this projector, it ended up making like almost like a 25-foot full-on movie screen. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Oh, like I was not expecting to be like a movie theater owner, but like I just became one. And so that was really exciting. And so we're going to be like showing The Matrix all the time and other types of like truth films. And I think we're going to have it be kind of like silent films with like music in the background so people can talk. It's just kind of like background visuals. And so, yeah, that's really exciting. I've been working a lot on that, to be honest. And, you know, it's almost like setting up a new house because, you know, we're turning this into like a lounge from like a really grungy warehouse. And so that's been taking up quite a bit of time. But other than that, just working on a lot of videos. I mean, last week we did interviews with SG Anon and Nathan Reynolds, which are, I would say, two of the highest profile interviews I've done to date, and really bombshell information, especially with Nathan Reynolds being a Illuminati bloodline defector and exposing that all this stuff we've heard about SRA, ritual abuse, he experienced, and he's talking about it from a first person perspective. And there's not many whistleblowers like that where it's really like, whoa, like these wacky conspiracy tinfoil theories are 100% validated by everything he's saying.
Wow.
And so, yeah, the videos and then just the products, because, you know, it's one thing doing the artworks, and it's actually another thing turning the artworks into different products. And that takes some time as well in deciding which we want. And actually to inaugurate the Q Lounge, we're actually developing a couple neon signs. We're getting a custom Q neon, and we're getting a custom Jasara neon light of like this Jasara logo here. So I'm really excited to see those. I'm hoping that World War III doesn't break out before we receive those because they are being produced in China. And so, yeah, after we get the first samples that are like for the Q Lounge, we're probably going to try to sell those as well in our store. We're always branching into new little product areas and categories. So, yeah, I got a lot of different things going on.
That's
Well,
amazing.
That's neat. Are you gonna people be able to order drinks or small snacks while they lounge? Are you gonna open up a type of
Well, that's a
foodie?
little bit of the issue. Like in the warehouse space that I own, there's not like a bathroom or a kitchen in the space. There's a bathroom down the hall. But so it's when we go there, it's a little bit like camping. Like you got to bring a cooler. Eventually, I'm gonna have a little mini fridge there, but there's no sink or kitchen, and so it's a little bit like camping. But yeah, we will have like hors d'oeuvres and stuff. But every time I host, I'm gonna have to like bring a big cooler.
You should have a big sign saying BYOF, bring your own
Yeah,
food.
I mean it's BYOF. I actually just went to this is a little bit off topic, but you know, I like to enjoy as well. I think dancing is a really important part of my life, and it should be more important to more people. Actually, I think if people got more into music and dancing, we would have a better world. But I went to one of the best warehouse parties I've ever been to last weekend. That was this huge warehouse I'd never been to before. This part of town that's a little bit dangerous, but this huge warehouse that only hosts a party like once a year, with an amazing sound system and awesome turnout. I mean, at 1 a.m. it went from crowded to like mega crowded, and I was like, "What just happened?" And it was just really inspiring because like I'm developing like my mini warehouse space, but like going to this party and seeing this, I was like, this is like my life vision of like really owning like a full warehouse building and be able to have like a real like rave from like the 90s. And so it was really cool to see. And honestly, that night I felt like I went into the 60. I was like in a state of ecstasy because the sound system was so good.
That's
And
very
so
cool.
that was good to see. It's like, you know, a lot of America, despite the world looking like it's really going to hell in a handbasket, if you're looking at the mainstream media, that is, if you're aware of like the 17 operation and what we're aware of, we know that it's darkest before the light. But a lot of people don't even realize it's dark or light. You know, they're just in like party mode. and completely oblivious. And unfortunately, I think that's what the majority of the people at this event were like. I didn't really get to meeting, everyone there, but the general population, especially the youth, is not too much concerned with geopolitics, as we all know. Even at events like Truth Tour, the people attending things like Truth Tour are a much older demographic in general. There's really hardly any young people, which is concerning that young people aren't concerned about the world, or how the world operates, or what's going on, or what's being put in their food or put in their minds through social media. But that's the case. I mean, we try to reach all ages with our information, and so but just the general population is still pretty much the majority, and like this trance, this dreamland trance of just semi-satanic self-obsession, narcissism, and that's going to be hard to reprogram. But I think it's a small faction can change the direction of the whole world through special operations and through concerted effort. If most people are just kind of in this neutral state, they'll come along for the ride of Tesoro when they're ready, or when we're ready.
Well, that's why we're all getting ready for this, because we know that the flood's coming.
Yeah, and the energies too. The energies are going to wake everyone up as well. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, we're also learning the difference, the big difference in the energies as well. Through everything that Candy and I have been going through, we've come to realize that she's a light bearer. I'm a shadow bearer. And when you think of shadow, most people identify shadow as dark. The dark energies, the dark mages, the dark magic. When dark and shadow are two opposite things completely. When shadow's not negative at all. It's just the opposite of light. Because if you think about the daytime, when you go out in the daytime outside, you see shadows everywhere from everything, which means that there's always an opposite to a light, not light and dark, but light and shadow. And the shadow is the connector to all, when the light bearer is the one that's the revealer of everything. The revealer, the healer, the guider, when the shadow is the connector. And we've come to realize that's why Candy and I work so well together, is because I'm a shadow bearer, she's a light bearer.
Yeah, and he also said that in the shadow you don't see any of the faults, any of the details. And
you see perfection.
Yeah, and so even when you look at your shadow and you're carrying weight here, your shadow is going to make you look like you're thinner, and you're like, oh, I like that.
It's the opposite of light, where light is the revealer, when shadow is where you see everything as perfection, because there is no blemishes. You don't see your skin, you don't see your weight, you don't see anything. It's just there.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool when he explained that to me.
Yeah, what I try to explain about duality is that it's not just the light and the dark. Is you almost have to see it as a four-piece checkerboard, where there's the evil dark and the evil light, and then there's the good dark and the good light. And that can be very confusing for people, because we're very much programmed to think light, good, dark, bad.
Mm-hmm.
But there's good and bad on both sides. And I myself, and I think maybe more like a shadow bearer. I haven't really said that out loud too many times, because people get such the wrong impression from it. But I prefer to work at night. I like the night more than the day. Day energy feels very chaotic, very matrixy to me, and I almost can't even concentrate until after midnight. And so I'm a creature of the night. I like the night life, and similar to a lot of nocturnal animals. And I see a lot of fitness influencers being like, you got to go to bed at 9 o'clock or your life's going to be a total disaster. And I'm like, you know what? Not everyone has to go to bed at the same time. I say feel it out. There's plenty of nocturnal animals that are mammals. They're not too dissimilar from humans. Even deers, owls, raccoons, opossums, all these animals. Why do people say humans have to work all day and sleep all night? I think that's a cabal system that tries to just keep people distracted in the light, and then in the dark, when you really have time to think, to look at the stars, to really think about the universe and have some peace and quiet, is when they want you just knocked out. and go back to work the next day. And so, yeah, I definitely think there is something to this shadow work as well as the light work that is much needed.
So, wanted to let everyone know, I've been blocking off our calendar for work. I mean, for sessions with you guys, because I want you to reach out. As Kid does his chemo, I just don't know when he is going to be feeling up to having sessions with you guys. So you can email us at highvibesup@gmail.com, and please put session in the subject line so that I can find you easy. And then, or you can message me on Facebook, Candy Kelly. So, yeah, and if you want to work with us, we don't charge. We do accept love offerings as the energy exchange, and look forward to working with you.
Oh, ever since that, the energies have been changing, Dylan. And what's funny is that when I saw you a little earlier, I'm like, you're a shadow. You're a shadow just like me. That's what I was thinking. And you just said that that's what you feel that you are. And you are. Since you
Maybe
have
I'm like
that,
a gray Jedi.
Okay. Since you have that knowledge now, try doing what I did was, somebody was trying to help me with healing my body, and they're like, bring the light into your body. And what that was doing was, it was causing pain, causing confusion, anger, and all these emotions were coming up. And I just decided to completely stop that and bring shadow instead. The shadow. And it started empowering me. I started feeling calm. I started feeling better by doing that instead. So try doing that. See if that will help to boost what you've been doing.
I will, yeah. And I would even maybe call it like dark energy as well, but not in a bad way. It really has, the way our language has evolved, that really has like a negative connotation. But scientists talk about dark matter and dark energy in the universe being like this huge abundant thing that makes up like half the mass of the universe or more. And so, yeah, I think people need to learn more about dark energy and really understand it, and understand that dark energy is not necessarily evil energy. That's an important distinction.
Well, think of witches, because this is how I've determined the difference between witches, because magic is just like guns. Guns don't kill people, people kill people, right? Magic doesn't hurt people, it's people that hurt people. It's all about, there's the dark magic, which is all about the offensive and defensive spells, when the white magic is all about the healing and support. Think of it like that. That's how I got into this, the terms of finally getting my brain straight and being able to see the difference between dark and the good dark and the bad dark.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, not all witches are even bad. There's so many like little witch markets. They're kind of just like farmers markets these days. And it's like there's a big distinction between those and like Hillary Clinton and whatever she does with, her Haitian refugees. Very important distinction.
Or Nancy Pelosi and her whitewashed followers.
Mm-hmm. She's definitely a Grand High, some kind of witch too.
It's all about seeing the magic for what it truly is. Yeah.
Is
Well-
there any links that you want me to post for you?
Well, I'll just remind everyone I'm New Templars on Rumble. That's our main platform. We're also on BitChute with New Templars. And then my main site is deepstatemappingproject.com, where you can find all these different diagrams in various formats, posters, tapestries, small prints, laminations, t-shirts, and of course free downloads for the most important ones. And I'm kind of starting to hype up. I think beginning next year, this World Hierarchy Pyramid is going to be a free download in black and white. And so we've been selling the color one as a paid download for a year, even though it's been all over Twitter. illegally posted violating intellectual property rights. But I'm glad the information is getting out, but I will officially put it out in black and white soon here. So always be checking our free downloads page. And yeah, that's it. You can find my high page, or I'll probably give you guys my high page link, which is like my link tree to all my different platforms. I'm sharing mainly on X and Telegram now. I'm trying to make this transition to mainly X, which is now Twitter, or formerly Twitter, because Telegram is so messed up and full of bots these days. But pretty much posting the important stuff on X and Telegram. And you can find my links to all the other social stuff on the high page. And so, yeah, check it all out. And we've been putting out some crazy videos lately. I might kind of pull back on the videos a little bit to concentrate on finishing a few more diagrams in the near future. But it's like there's not enough time to do everything all the time. But we're kind of like a 1 or 2 video a week type of channel. So we're not going to like flood the feed too bad. But it's a lot of other stuff to be developing with these. With these are not simple graphics, as you can probably tell. So we got to manage our time wisely. But thanks so much for having me on. It's been great to reconnect with you guys.
Yeah,
and I'm so glad to see Kid doing better.
And as you can tell, I've been off the oxygen the whole time.
Impressive, yeah.
Just a real quick question, if we can circle back to your map for health. Are you like doing, are you getting into herbal therapies with that as well? And essential oils, or is it more?
Oh,
Yeah? Okay.
yeah, that we got a category. I've been kind of struggling to figure out how to delineate these categories, because it's like we have, I want to show all the different medicinal spices, different oils, different teas. And so I think labeled those under like botanicals. Then we also have a section of supplements and minerals. And so it's been a little bit of a challenge to categorize all these different things. But yeah, it's going to have everything, and in a lot more detail than the original Healing Web. And what I ultimately wanted was to have each spice or botanical or herb say what it's good for. But I'm not sure if there's going to be enough room on the diagram for all of that. But we're going to do our best. And maybe I'll get a download from the Pleiadians on how to really have all the information I want without having it be like size 2-point font.
Well,
But we're definitely going to have them all listed. But it is important. I mean, all you have to do is Google it, say, what is turmeric good for, or what is cinnamon good for? Because it's a lot of different things. That's the other thing with holistic medicine, is that one herb or botanical will be good for like 10 different, conditions or symptoms specifically. But we're going to try to find a way to make it all easily visualized on one chart. But it might require 1 or 2 Google searches to really flush it out.
if you need any assistance with that, I'd be happy to help.
Okay, well, thank you.
And I just want to remind everyone on there's a Facebook group called Buy Nothing, and there's should be one in your area. I just recently picked up 2 motherwort plants, and they're great for healing. And they just had an abundance of them and was giving them away, and they advertise it on Buy Nothing Facebook group. So I just went and picked up 2 of them.
Cool.
Yeah,
I haven't even
and
heard of that
that's-
one, motherwort.
And then someone else posted, "Hey, I've got lots of grapes. Too many for us to eat. If you would like some grapes, reach out to me." And so my husband and I went and got a quarter of a big bucket, 5-gallon bucket of grapes for free.
Whoa.
And they were delicious. So
That's awesome.
yeah, there's all sorts of things that people offer, and it's really nice to receive the blessing. It's also nice to give the blessing.
Indeed.
Yeah, because one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah, and that motherwort. I also got some bamboo from someone too, from that group. So the motherwort, as well as other plants, those would normally just be tossed into the recycle bin, right? for a yard. And now she's able to bless other people. I'm happy to have the mother ward. And so I'm just going to groom that plant and then figure out how to use it.
Awesome. Yeah, there's so many botanicals and herbs out there that it's overwhelming. Like when you have a condition to figure it out, to figure out like, oh, what's the best one for this? And it's easy to forget things too. Like in my healing journey over the years, it's like I've learned things, and then whatever the problem was comes up again years later, and I actually forget it sometimes. And then when I rediscover it, I'm like, oh yeah, like I should have had that written down some way to like remember, And so that's kind of the idea of these charts, is to not let these sacred remedies that Gaia and God has offered us be lost into the annals of memory, and have it right there so you can remember, like, oh yeah, this herb for this condition every time. It's like having an external hard drive for your brain in the chart.
A lot of us need that too.
Love it. And people pass your maps around like crazy, Dylan. I see them everywhere, people talking about them on videos, and I sure wish that they would say that they're from you, if they even know that they are, but that would be nice.
Yeah, the Healing Web is still having a major plagiarization problem on Etsy and even other websites, but all of them are using the free download version of the artwork, which is a free download, and so I don't get on their case too much, but I just want people to know that if you want the highest quality and the poster version, which is different than the free download version. I mean, it's a different aspect ratio to do the poster. It's a wider diagram. There's actually slightly different information, and you want the official version. You don't want the bootleg version of anything. And so get the free download, there's people selling the download on Etsy, which is pretty disappointing, but we offer it for free. And the new Healing Web, the new Healing Diagram, whatever it ends up being called, is between the Healing Spiral, the Healing Vortex, Healing Web 2. There's a few different name options for it. That one probably is going to be free too, because my goal mainly is to get people healing and get people knowing about this holistic information so that Big Pharma can be defunded. And so that one will be free. Of course, we'll offer it in other printed formats as well for sale. But we're trying to save lives here at DSMP.
Yeah. All right, ready to kick off?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us with Dylan. And Dylan, I'm so glad that you were able to pop on with us today.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you guys. So good to reconnect. Yep.
Okay.
All right, everyone, we love you. Keep your head up high. We know the energies are going crazy. Just know that we are at the catalyst of everything finally coming to a close for whatever's happening, and just stand strong. We are here. Everyone's here. We all got each other's backs. We love you, and we will see you guys soon.
Probably not going to want to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Always go with the choice that scares you the most, because it's the choice that's going to help you grow.
Wow.
I can't do negative today. Positive vibes, positive vibes.
Hey, best friend. Wait. To the person seeing this, I know you're tired. I know you're fed up and so close to breaking. But remember, you have strength within you even when you feel weak. Keep fighting, best friend.